This is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soibifa Jakarich. Israel and Hamas struck a last-minute agreement on Thursday to extend their ceasefire for a seventh day, and Washington said it hoped the truce could be extended further to free more hostages and let aid reach Gaza. The truce has allowed much-needed humanitarian aid into Gaza after much of the coastal territory of 2.3 million people was reduced to wasteland by 7 weeks of Israeli bombardment in retaliation for a deadly rampage by Hamas militants on October 7th. Morning broke over northern Gaza's war zone, quiet for the seventh day as seen from across the fence in Israel, although a deadly shooting in Jerusalem was a potent reminder of the potential for violence to spread. Israel, which has demanded Hamas release at least 10 hostages per day to keep the ceasefire going, said it received a list at the last minute of those who would go free on Thursday, allowing it to call off plans to resume fighting at dawn. Hamas, which freed 16 hostages on Wednesday, while Israel released 30 Palestinian prisoners, also said the truce would continue for a seventh day. So far, militants have released 97 hostages during the truce, 70 Israeli women and children, each freed in return for 3 Palestinian women and teenage detainees, plus 27 foreign hostages freed under parallel agreements with their government, with fewer Israeli women and children left in captivity. Extending the truce could require setting new terms for the release of Israeli men, including soldiers. China Evergrande Group, the world's most indebted property developer, is seeking to avert a potentially imminent liquidation with a last-minute debt restructuring proposal. 3 people with direct knowledge of the matter said the defaulted company has until a Hong Kong court hearing on Monday to present a concrete revised debt restructuring proposal for offshore creditors. A judge said last month after its original plan had lapsed with more than $300 billion in liabilities. Evergrande exemplifies a crisis in China's property sector, which makes up 1/4 of the world's second biggest economy. The authorities have scrambled to support the sector as the troubles of embattled developers roiled global markets. Ahead of the hearing, when the Hong Kong High Court will rule on a liquidation petition, Evergrande this week offered to swap some debt held by offshore creditors into equity in the company and 2 Hong Kong listed units, and repay the rest with non-tradable certificates backed by offshore assets, 2 sources said. The offshore assets include the developer's minority stakes in other companies and each receivable, one of the 2 sources said, and the certificates would be redeemed by Evergrande when it successfully disposes of the assets. The plan is not expected to require regulatory approval, as Chinese regulators have banned the developer from issuing new bonds, he added. Many creditors were dissatisfied with the October terms as they implied a major haircut on investments, sources have said, forcing Evergrande to scramble to sweeten the deal in what could be its final attempt to avoid liquidation. Japan said it has asked the U.S. to suspend all non-emergency V-22 Osprey flights over its territorial after one fell into the sea on Wednesday in western Japan, marking the country's first fatal U.S. military plane crash in 5 years. The U.S. Air Force said the cause of the mishap during a routine training mission, which killed at least 1 person, is currently unknown. Search and rescue operations to find the remaining 7 crew are still ongoing. The Japan Self-Defense Forces (SDF), which also operates Ospreys, will suspend flights of the transport aircraft until the circumstances of the incident are clarified, another defense ministry official said. Witnesses said the aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it approached an airport for an emergency landing in clear weather and light winds, media reported. In August, a U.S. Osprey crashed off the coast of northern Australia while transporting troops during a routine military exercise, killing 3 U.S. Marines. Another crash landed in the ocean off the southern island of Okinawa in December 2016. The first such incident in Japan, prompting a temporary U.S. military grounding of the aircraft. The last fatal U.S. military aircraft crash in Japan was 2018, when a mid-air collision during a training exercise killed 6 people, according to the Defense Ministry. China's manufacturing activity shrank for a second straight month in November and at a quicker pace, suggesting more stimulus will be needed to shore up economic growth and restore confidence that the authorities had obliged support industry. Economists upgraded their forecast for the world's second largest economy after better than expected third quarter data, but despite a flurry of policy support measures, negative sentiment among factory managers appears to have become entrenched in the face of weak demand both of home and abroad. The official Purchasing Managers Index (PMI) fell to 49.4 in November from 49.5 in October, National Bureau of Statistics data showed on Thursday, missing economics forecast of 49.7. The 50-point Democrats contraction from expansion. The domestic markets cannot make up for losses in Europe and the United States. The data shows that the factories are producing less and hiring fewer people, said Dan Wang, chief economist at Hang Seng Bank, China. The data could also show a loss of confidence in government policy, she added, warning factory activity was unlikely to improve anytime soon as other economic problems dominate. The priority now is clearer containing the local government's debt risk and the risk posed by regional banks. In another worrying sign, the vast services sector contracted for the first time in 12 months. The non-manufacturing PMI, which includes services and construction, eased to 50.2 in November from 50.6 last month. The new orders sub-index contracted for a second consecutive month, while the new export orders component extended its decline for a 9th month. Billionaire Elon Musk told advertisers that have fled his social media platform X over anti-Semitic content to go f*** yourself in a fiery Wednesday interview. His profanity-laced remarks followed a moment of contrition in a New York Times Deal Book Summit interview. Musk said repeatedly he was sorry for publishing a tweet on November 15th that agreed with an anti-Jewish post. Musk has faced a torrent of criticism ever since he agreed with a user who falsely claimed Jewish people were stalking hatred against white people. Musk in his post said the user, who referenced the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, was speaking the actual truth. On Wednesday, Musk said he had handed a loaded gun to both detractors and anti-Semitic people, describing his post as possibly the worst he had made during a history of messages that include many foolish ones. The Telsa CEO bristled at the idea that he was anti-Semitic and said that the advertisers who left X, formerly known as Twitter, should not think they could blackmail him. Musk in Israel said he is against anti-Semitism and anything that promotes hate and conflict, and stated that X would not promote hate speech. While there, he received a symbolic dog tag from the father of an Israeli hostage taken captive by Hamas, which he promised to wear until all the hostages were free. He wore the dog tag on stage on Wednesday. Musk's wide-ranging interview on Wednesday included discussions from freedom of speech to the environment to U.S. presidential politics. Musk said he thought he would not vote to re-elect President Joe Biden, but did not say he would vote for his likely challenger, Donald Trump. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.